Tay says, Tony, have you ever used a low VOC clear coat? They seem not to flow as well as national rule. Any tips? Maryland is a low VOC state. Well, I've sprayed, all kinds of paints here. I haven't had any real issues. What type of temperature, what temperatures are you spraying in? Maybe you need to kind of turn to a more slow reducer to have better flow out. And what brand are you using? James Paul says, do you take time to color sand your base coat prior to applying candy? Nope, you do not need to sand your base coat when applying candy. So your candy coat goes directly over sprayed base coat. The only thing you're going to do is tack it. So if you notice a lot of overspray, even if you don't have overspray, right, you're supposed to tack before you put clear coat, okay, because there is going to be some overspray on it, obviously. So, yeah, sanding not needed, but tacking needed. Tack it, make sure you're flashed, make sure it's dry, 30, 40 minutes, give or take, depending on your temperature, and tack it and shoot it. You could put your candy on top of that. And we have many videos over candy and VIP. So if you're interested in learning, you want to get step-by-step guidance, don't forget to go to learnautobodyandpaint.com. And then there's a special offer to check out VIP, where we have over 250 hours of step-by-step videos to teach you everything about auto body. Been helping people since way back in 2010. Mr. says, what's up, Tony? What would you recommend for a garage setup as far as a filtration system? Are you VIP, buddy? If not, we have a section in VIP that gives you different ideas and solutions for setting up a DIY garage. This is mine. I basically just have a HVAC filter, air filter, like a home filter that you put on your AC system, in an opening on my door. That door leads to outside. I close my garage up and I have a super high CFM sucking fan. Is it plugged in? No, it's not plugged in. But this is pretty much, I got it on Amazon. I think it was like almost 300 bucks. And it just sucks everything out. In fact, the fan is so strong that I have to actually crack my door open to get better airflow. So what I normally do is so the filter I probably don't even use. I'll crack this door open that much because we get fresh air in from the back of the property. And I really don't end up with any dust at all. Hardly any dust. Maybe a little bit, but really spray guns for garage paint jobs, I think they're excellent. And I actually prefer spraying all around with a low volume, low pressure. You could spray base coats and clear coats with them. And you can also spray single stage with those guns. And if you're looking for a great gun, guys, definitely hold on one second. Check out Zula.com. These to low 80s. Okay, so that's not that bad. Using a low activator reducer is not recommended. And what are you saying? Are you saying it's coming out a little dry or not shiny, or what's the problem? Like flow out? Because if it's, yeah, if a reducer is not recommended, you don't have to put a reducer, but you might want to add a little reducer to give it a little bit more flow out. He says, how long should I let 2K filler primer dry before blocking? So a 2K filler primer, obviously you have an activator in it, right? So usually if you give it 2 hours, you should be fine. And then blocking. But if you can wait a day, if you're not in a rush, you could filler prime, do what you got to do. And then the next day you could do your sanding, your blocking out. Lower tip size and lower PSI for base coat and clear. What tip size are you considering? Base coat, clear coat? Yeah, I mean, you could use a 1.0. Depending on, you could use a minigun, use a 1.0 and spray door jambs, or a 1.2. So you could, with base coat, clear coat, You can spray out of a 1.0, no problem. You know, the whole, it's not too small. You don't have to reduce your paint. But I do have my X27 here with the Gun Bud Ultra Lighting System. Okay, let's see. So yeah, Brian, just to answer your question, oops, you could use a smaller tip size for Basecoat Clear Coat, but the recommended for overall paint jobs on a standard size spray gun is a 1.3 to 1.4. You can see that this is a 1.3 tip. Okay, and this is fine for spraying Basecoat Clear Coat and single stage paints. You could use either or, whatever you feel comfortable with. It's not a huge difference, but you know, to me, I like spraying with the 1.4. I feel like I get a little bit more material on the panels. Okay, for less overspray. Well, I mean, if you're concerned about overspray, I wouldn't. I mean, because if you're going to be painting a car with a regular size gun, you don't want to use a 1.0 or 1.2. It's just too small. Okay, you want to go with a 1.3, 1.4. So for reducing overspray, you could, instead of spraying at 26, 27 PSI, trigger pulled, you can cut your pressure down a little bit to reduce overspray. You know, maybe spray at like 22 to 24 pounds. Okay, and with the Atom X88 spray gun, I noticed they atomize really, really well. And you can spray, you know, I've sprayed single stage 19 to 20 pounds and it's sprayed out beautifully. I've sprayed Basecoat Clear Coat 20, 22 pounds out of this thing. When the normal gun, when you're usually normally spraying at 24, 25, 26 PSI, trigger pulled. Hey, Tony, any ideas on how to get rid of tin canning on hood? My accent bonnet has a couple of spots that does it and hit it with a body hammer, but it didn't make much of a difference. Well, you could try to shrink the metal. Have you tried that? Have you tried using a shrinking hammer? And actually, as I read your next question, that's what you said. I just seen this next statement that you made. Yeah, I would try. You might need to shrink the metal if it's too flimsy. Yeah, Joffrey, I would just, why don't you just go to learnautobodyandpaint.com/blog. Hold on, let me get the URL for you, because we have a ton of content already on Learn Auto Body. And just type in compressor, air compressor setup here. And there's a ton of videos that you'll be able to check out. We got tons of content here, guys. So if you guys want more content, definitely visit the blog here. And don't forget to sign up on the homepage to the free newsletter at learnautobodyandpaint.com, where we give you a downloadable guide and we send you like video trainings every couple days through email. So Joffrey, check out the blog, please. There's a lot of videos, articles, and everything in there to help you out with that specific question. Is it okay to clear coat Rust-Oleum paint, or does it have to be sanded? If it's been dry for a while, like a couple weeks, then I would definitely sand it with like 800 grit before you clear coat it. Okay, 800 to 1,000 grit. And I wouldn't even go 1,000, maybe around 800 grit, and then clear coat it. But if you're going to be clear coating it, you could actually clear coat it after it's pretty much. So say you sprayed your last coat, it's a little tacky. Probably 2 hours later, you can clear coat it. Even though if it's still wet, you can go clear coat right on top of Rust-Oleum. Dante says, yes, it's a flow out. Yes, flow out is a problem. I'm shooting with low volume, low pressure, 30 PSI. And I have to spray heavy to maintain flow. Clear coat is 4-to-1 mix. Should I reduce 10%? I mean, you could reduce 5%, 5 to 8%. 10% seems a little too much. I think you're spraying at too much of a high pressure. And are you spraying base coat or clear coat, or? not sure what you're spraying. Compressor related, what's better, 60 or 80 gallon compressor? I'm planning to get one. How many amps does each pull? Well, if you're going to be doing like small side jobs from home, right? I mean, a 60 gallon is enough. 80 gallon is over. 80 gallon is if you have two guys working and you're pulling, you know, a lot of air volume out, then an 80 gallon will help. But if it's mainly a one-man shop where you don't have two guys at a time, working on an air compressor, then you don't have to, you know, I wouldn't have. This is here. Look, I came in here because I want to show you my little air compressor setup. So this is a 60 gallon, okay, 240 volt, 3.7 horsepower. It puts out 11 CFM at 90, which we're never using 90. Okay, we're normally at like 30 or less. Okay, and then it puts out 11.5 at 40. So this is a very quiet air compressor, I feel. I got it at Lowe's, $600. Works great. I'm using an Ingersoll Rand water filter here. Okay, this thing works perfect. This is all I got. I have like a 6-foot hose from my air compressor to that unit right there. And then I got 50 foot of line right here. And then sometimes if I need more line, I have another 50 footer that I can hook up to it to do work outside on the property. Yeah, you could just get a cheap torch, man, like a portable propane torch. That's all you need, you know, to like light barbecues or whatever, those little propane. You could even use map gas or, you know, whatever you got, that'll work. You just need to heat the metal up a little bit, shrink hammer it, make sure you got a dolly in back of the panel, and then wet it with a wet rag. Tony, do I need to tack down my control coat on my metallic base coat? So you're always going to tack in between base coats, guys. So anytime you're doing base coat, metallics or non-metallic, you're going to be tacking in between coats, and also after you're done, before clear coat. So if you're doing 3 coats of base, you're tacking after your first coat, you're tacking after your second coat, you're tacking after your third coat, and then you lay your clear coat on. You never tack between clear coats because it's wet, it's tacky, right? Shading here, prime and paint the cab. How do I tape the cab to prevent ridge near the edges? Stacy, I believe you're VIP. We have a lot of videos in VIP regarding masking, rolling the tape, rolling the edges, using products on door jambs like tube tape. Is that what you're talking about? Getting overspray into the door jambs? Or, because I'm thinking cab and bed. I'm thinking like cab and bed right now. I'm getting a little confused. There was a product I did a review on called tube tape. It basically looks like a mini noodle that fits. It's like a noodle. You guys know what these are, right? Go to the beach. It's this basically in a 1/2-inch diameter that's sticky that you put in between your door jamb, that the opening. I have videos of this in VIP. Okay, let me show you where it goes. You basically put it in between here. So it gives you a nice rolled edge. When you paint, you don't get overspray going in. But you could do the same thing with masking tape, and I show you how to do that as well in VIP. Like, we got all the videos on all that. So don't forget to learn how to roll your masking tape when you go to VIP. Just look up masking, and you'll see the videos in there. Oh, I forgot to talk about the amperage. My bad. My uncle just put a 40 amp line for a few months ago. It was a little overkill. Yeah, 40 amp is overkill. I think it's like, I think all you need is like 30 max for an air compressor. Asking, is it okay to clear coat Rust-Oleum paint, or does it have to be sanded? Yes, so I said yes, you can clear coat it. If it's dried out and cured, I would sand it with like 800 grit and then clear coat it. If you're freshly painting it, I would wait an hour because Rust-Oleum takes a little longer to kind of set up. An hour to 2 hours before you shoot raw clear coat on top of it. But you could do that. I don't know why people like Rust-Oleum paint. I'm not a big fan of it. You could get regular single stage acrylic enamel automotive paint and it'd be so much better for you anyway. So yeah, my roof that has turned into a rust spot, how do I take care of it? Well, normally if you have a rust pimple, you're going to want to grind it, treat it, and fill it. Okay, depending on how big it is, if it's large, you might want to fill it with fiberglass. Yeah, they call me Arnie sometimes. If it's small, then you can just treat it with vinegar water and just put some Bondo on it and paint it. If it's big, you got a hole. Sometimes when you grind those rust bubbles up, you will have a hole. You know, like exactly what's Matt519, your VIP. Keep tuning in because the next we actually have our videos of the Good Van project where we take care of all those things in the bodywork phases. So I don't know if you actually signed up, but go to learnautobodyandpaint.com/goodvan. Okay. That's where you can get that complete course for free. And we cover exactly what I did there, how I took care of it here. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are awesome. I'll talk to you later. Have a good week. Peace.